we had been working on, like Keith was saying, our mission statement. Who were we? What were we going to do? How were we going to organize ourselves, etc. What were our goals? As I remember, this is my recollection. Southwest had a brother by the name of Joseph. I forget Joseph's last name. Joseph had been organizing, talking with the Black Student Union on the campus of, he was with these high schoolers at Carver
Junior High.
At Carver Junior High, okay? So he's talking with them about, Blackness, consciousness. Remember now that Joseph is one of the early parts of the Che Lumumba Club. He's one of its earliest members, all right? So remember, that is more Marxist-Leninist than it is Black, if you will. Although there's not necessarily a contradiction. You can be a Black Marxist-Leninist, but what it has to, the arguments, as you know, are class as opposed class and race. Now it's not either or, but both and I think perhaps Che Lumumba had a hold of that, if you will, okay, as opposed to being just strictly where the United Front was more either or, and their position was, well, you've got to be, this has to be a Marxist-Leninist take on things. Class has to be it, and that's the way we organize, and that's who we go to, that's who we appeal to. And it's easy for us because the African-American community is proletariat. Therefore, what's the problem? Okay. You don't need to have no Black consciousness. Well, it helps. Okay. It helps anyway, in terms of the definition of who you are. Anyway, so that's I'm saying all that to say, I'm wondering what his dialogues were with these junior high schoolers. It turned out to be more racial than anything else, because the principal of Carver was a Mormon. How he got in there, I don't know, through Margaret Wright, however, but he has this small following. They arrest him and the students, okay, for whatever the charge is that the principal brings against them. Police show up, cuff him, cuff the kids, okay? So this springs off as the parents become, furious at the fact that their children were handcuffed and blah, blah, blah. And Joseph becomes a semi-hero to them. He remains in jail. Kids get out. Protests start to spring up. Preachers start to come in, as organizers of the community. The Black Student Alliance at the time sends its various members back to their campuses and calls for a strike. The LAUSD kids in the high schools and junior high schools begin to do it themselves. Okay, so we have a full-scale walkout of LAUSD in the same week that, God love him, poor Tom Bradley is running for mayor of the city. Okay, and Yorty uses this to say he is part of this militant communist uprising, and he doesn't need to be the mayor of Los Angeles. Just to throw you in, what were to us side elements that were going on. Okay, this is central to the city, but this is a sideshow for us, because what we want to do and we're trying to take advantage of is we've got the whole LAUSD and the campuses in terms of bringing Blacks together, in a militant action. So you were asking me, what did you accomplish? We were thinking this is one of our major, it probably is, the major thing that we were part of and spearheaded, okay, again, we were arguing that we spearheaded it because Joseph had been part of the alliance, and we were, rolling him back in on that basis. Okay. So anyway, this strike takes place, and I'm going to tell you the myth, and then I'll tell you what can be verified. So it takes off on the, like almost on the finally on it happened, I would think, on the Thursday or Friday in terms of what happened to Joseph and the kids, and by Monday it's becoming a rolling blackout, if you will, in terms of students are at LA High School, at Jordan, at what have you, they're all going off campus, okay, for what happened to the kids on Carver. Carver is empty. It is completely shut down in terms of attendance, all right? And the meetings are being held at Victory Baptist Church, right next to. Like I said, various preachers are coming in. Gumbo. This is post the shooting of John and Bunchy at in the months after that, January, February, I can't remember exactly. But by the time Tuesday arrives, we have a full-scale LA Times acknowledged walkout of the students in the city, arguing that by doing so, we can have an impact on the LAUSD because the attendance is the thing that they get their money on. And if nobody's in there, LAUSD is going to be hurt financially by the absence of these students, by the absence of the students. So we're meeting at Victory Baptist Church. The themes are, in terms of our themes, our arguments are, and they're poorly articulated by us because we've just begun to do what we were supposed to do, and that is mission statement. What is to be done? And the arguments were, the general catchphrase, of course, was community control of the school. Okay, and we were arguing that with and parents are showing up at Victory Baptist Church, and we're arguing with them and discussing with them. And an argument, as we define it, is an appeal to reason. So the arguments are, hey, this is what should be, this is what we need to do. You parents need to be in on more what's going to decide about what your kids are taught, how they are disciplined, yada, yada, yada. And you got this Mormon who comes from a biased religion, and he should be removed, and a black principal should be put in here, blah, 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 blah. So that's what's going on. And we get full support from the African-American preachers at the time. Bret Hart is close to where we're meeting. Okay. We had a place we've rented, and that's BSA place, and that's where we're meeting. And in there, the militants are coming together and saying to themselves, what are we going to do in terms of this strike, and and like I said, everybody's been sent out. I remember I went to a Compton high school meeting with parents. I went to another one at LA High School, my alma mater. So, and everybody else is going everywhere else. So Jefferson, Fremont, Manual, you name it. And those are just the high schools. I'm not even talking about who's meeting with the junior high school parents. So this is a week. Of this I am sure, okay? About Tuesday or Wednesday, now this is the legend I have been spreading. I will tell you what actually believed, or what I've been actually told by those who participated in it. The legend I have been pushing out there is this, that among that leadership was Che Lumumba, with as its heads Franklin and Kendra Alexander. Okay. And they are meeting with the BSU folks and others. And like I said, there were Panthers there, but they were, like I said, Bunchy and John are gone. So I can't remember who the Panthers were that were in on it, okay? But that leadership has an executive meeting. Remember, legend. And in that meeting, they decide that they are going to declare victory and stop the strike, the walkout on Friday. And there is so I'm not in that meeting, but I am in the meeting where they tell the rest of the group that this is what's going to happen. Why? We should go on forever. Keep on the strike. Whip their ass. Power to the people. Yada, yada, yada. And they said, do you know, and it show you how tight shit is in terms of events. And they cite the strike that was going on or had gone on at San Francisco State that had been broken. The back had been broken up by Hayakawa and Reagan. And they said, our enemy is too big. We cannot sustain this. The parents would not tolerate, months and months of, or weeks and weeks of kids being out of school. They couldn't afford it, all right? And we can't sustain this. So we have to have, this is a demonstration strike, and we have to have a conclusion to it that demonstrates the politics that we are trying to put forward. So what they decided to do was call them into the strike, march in front of Carver. And then what they were going to do was, because there was only about 3 or 4 security people in front of it, we're going to march, push right past the security people, go into the school and administer and teach the classes. Then come out, after that had been done, go back to Victory Baptist Church and declare the victory. Great name for the church, huh? All right, which they did with elements of, because we had wisely pulled in the activist parents of Carver, and so they were with us on this, and they were part of that march. They went in, declared the school, a liberated school, yada, yada, all the rhetoric that was part of what we did. Then before the police could organize themselves and come throw us out, march right back out. None of that I was in on, except for I knew about it. My job was to hold down the BSU office near Bret Hart. So the man who was never there for the events. I wasn't there for that, okay? So that's essentially what happens. Yeah, the Panthers were a part of that, right? Because here's what happened afterward. So bubbling with victory, okay? Oh yeah, the decisions, the fly on the wall. Okay, so if we're gonna do this, are we gonna go in armed? Melvin was arguing yes. Didon was arguing no. I'm just gonna make that the case, okay? And say that, how are you going to endanger an unarmed people with weapons in the school? How are you going to march outside with weapons you only have, and the people are unarmed? Okay, so we went in unarmed. Okay, they went in unarmed. So back at the church, now us organization, this is, like I said, has become persona non grata in the main. And although they come to the church for the other community meetings and what have you, they're not getting any play. The main thing is happening is you're getting Che Lumumba, BS, Black Student Alliance, Black Panther Party. Those are the main speaking voices that are up there almost all the time. But the killing of John and Bunchy is obviously a point of violence between the Panthers and us. So in the parking lot, circulating around there is Roland. I always get the two of them mixed up. There's Roland and Ronald Freeman. Okay. And I think it's Ronald who's out there. And he's got, well, anyway, you know how Panthers are, so they got that black leather jacket on. So us organization comes into the parking lot, jams up Mr. Freeman, okay? And they get to Gusling. He gets knocked to the ground. Us organization, one of the us organization guys pulls out a 38, shoots him point blank, and then runs off and gets in the car, and they leave. Roland has one bullet in him. It is in his red book. It never penetrated all the way through. So it might have been a 22 rather than a 38, okay? But it never penetrated. The red book saves his life. But the police come swooping in, okay? And what would have been the victory at Carver is completely turned into a continuing gun battle between us organization and the Panthers, you know, which works perfectly in terms of disrupting this militancy that we are trying to build into the militant unity we're trying to build into the Black community. You see what happens when you guys get together? You shoot each other, okay? So that's how the Carver Junior High School strike concluded.